Hello, I'm Molly Stanberry, and welcome to MacMost, the video podcast that shows you how to get the most from your Mac, iPod, Apple TV, and iPhone. The big news this week is that Leopard, or a Mac OS 10.5, has been delayed. Many expected it to be released in June, but in fact it now looks more like October. Word from Apple is that the delay is due to engineers being pulled off of Leopard to work on the iPhone. Looks like even the Apple engineers can't wait to get their hands on an iPhone. This week in Las Vegas is the National Association of Broadcasters Convention. Viva Las Vegas! Now, if you can't be there, go to our website at MacMost.com and you'll find the most up-to-date information on the convention. Also at the NAB Convention, Apple announced an upgrade to our favorite video editing software, Final Cut Pro Studio. Make sure you go check it out. Definitely worth an upgrade. Don't tell the boss, but we went ahead and ordered the upgrade to Final Cut Pro Studio. What happens at NAB stays at NAB. Adobe is another high roller at the NAB. They announced that preview copies of the new CS3 software suites are available and that shipments of the full versions are starting this week. Adobe also announced a standalone desktop viewer for Flash video and animation. This will allow browser-free viewing of Flash content. Hey, pretty lady. While Adobe is taking Flash out of the web browser, Microsoft is trying to make a browser-friendly media player. Microsoft announced Silverlight, a media player designed to compete against Flash video. Flash video is used by giants like YouTube and is the most used web video player. We predict that Silverlight has about as much chance against Flash as the Zoom does against the iPod. For more on this story, I have senior Redmond correspondent William Portal.
Hello, Molly.
Hello, William. So, why would Microsoft want to enter a market against Flash, which dominates web video?
Two reasons, actually. First, Microsoft can't stand to have another company monopolize the market. It's all part of the plan to monopolize everything. That way, once the consumer doesn't have any choice, they won't notice how inferior the Microsoft products are.
I see. And the second reason?
Well, they want to put the viral back into viral video, literally.
So the Silverlight plugin, is that going to be cross-platform?
What was that, Molly?
Will the Silverlight player be cross-platform?
Cross-platform? That's not a term that Microsoft is familiar with.
But the Flash video player works so well on every computer and browser that most people don't even notice that they have it. They go to YouTube, click on a video, and it just plays. What would Microsoft do to make a better player?
Well, that's secret, but they're sure it'll do as well as the Zune did against the iPod.
Oh yes, I forgot about that. Thank you so much, William, for talking with us.
Thanks, Molly, for having me. Say, will this show be on YouTube by any chance?
Oh, it most certainly will.
Good. That way my mom can watch it. Thanks.
Using tabs in your web browser is an easy way to switch between several websites in the same browser. To use tabs in Safari, go to Preferences under the Safari menu and then select the Tabs item. Make sure that the Enable Tabbed Browsing checkbox is selected. Close Preferences and you are ready to surf using tabs. Here's a handy tip. Hold the Command key down when you click on a link to open a link in a new tab. Today, Gary's going to show us how to split up your iTunes library.
Hi, this is Gary from MacMost.com, and today I'm going to show you how to create a second iTunes music library, perhaps taking some of the music from your current library. So say you've got a lot of music in your current library, and you've got some that's modern and some that's classical, and you want to move the classical to a second library, or perhaps maybe the classical music belongs to somebody else, and you want to split up the libraries between the two of you. So what you want to do first is decide that you're going to keep this music here in this current library, and this is the music you're going to move. So you're going to delete it from your current library, knowing that it's not going to delete the files off the hard drive because you're going to select Keep Files. And now you've got your first library all set up with your modern music on it. So you're going to quit out of iTunes. You're going to go into the Finder and look where you keep your iTunes libraries, which is usually in the Music folder. In here, you'll see your one iTunes library. In there, you'll see an iTunes music folder. And in there, you'll see your music. You're going to want to drag your music out to the desktop so we can get to it easily. And what we're going to do is close this. And now we're going to go ahead and open up iTunes again. But this time, we're going to hold the Option key down as we click on the icon. And it's going to come up with a dialog here that allows you to create a new library. So create library, and we're going to name it iTunes Classical. Now, it's going to default to put it in the music folder, but you could actually put it somewhere else, or perhaps even on an external hard drive, which is useful in itself, having some of your iTunes music on an external drive that maybe is not always hooked up to your computer. So we're going to hit save, and it will create the new library for us, but there's nothing in it. Then we're going to go ahead and drag this album into the current library. Now, the default settings are to actually make copies of all this music in the iTunes library. If that's not your default, then you just have to actually move that folder inside your iTunes library or put it wherever you want yourself. Now we've actually created a second library here. We can go ahead and delete this folder here, knowing that it has actually copied it into your music folder. So we see there's an iTunes folder, iTunes Classic, and we go ahead and look in there in the iTunes music folder, and there's the Mozart album. So we close that, and we've got our second library. If we quit out of iTunes and start up again, it will use the same library that you last viewed. But if we start it up and hold the Option key down, it allows us to choose a library, and we can go in and choose the iTunes library file in this folder or the iTunes library file in this folder. So to go back to the original, we choose that one, and there we go. So now there's a simple way for you to create as many iTunes libraries as you want, put them on external drives perhaps, or shared drives on your local network, and easily divide up your music. It helps if you've got a lot of music, or if your tastes are varied enough that you want to divide your library up into separate pieces. This has been Gary with MacMost.com.
If you have a question you'd like us to answer on air, drop us an email at questions@macmost.com. Our featured podcast for this week is Tiki Bar TV. This week they feature the best drinking game ever.
Bunny side! Bunny's wide! Bunny's wide! Bunny's in the middle. Bunny is go! Good to him.
MacMost Loot is our contest segment where we come up with an app-related question or challenge and send a randomly drawn winner a prize. Last week's winner was David Reed. David, congratulations. He correctly identified the date that Apple was founded as April 1st, 1976. And this week's challenge is... how much do you think Steve Jobs raked in as the CEO of Apple Computer last year? If you think you know, send your answer to loot@macmost.com. Thanks for watching the MacMost video podcast. If you want to contact us, if you have an Apple-related product you'd like us to review or use, or would like to sponsor an episode of MacMost, email us at videopodcast@macmost.com. Be sure to visit our website for the latest news and to vote on the stories that you think are the most interesting. We'll also be posting tutorials and tips on the website throughout the week. This is Molly Stanberry for MacMost. I'll see you next week. Our featured podcast for this week is Tiki Bar TV. This week they feature the best drinking game ever.